So in this video I want to show you how to program a game. This is a rather simple game. I'll show you first the functions of the game. You have some buttons at the top of the screen, and when you push the red button, then a little red sphere ball will jump into the screen. If I push the green button from the other side, there comes some green balls. What's quite cool here is that you can see all of those balls are moving quite like in reality. And if some other balls are coming in, then also those balls are doing the movements. You can also change gravity from upside to downside and also to zero gravity to make some other kind of movements in this little system. So how is that done? It's done with a program that is called Xcode. This is a software development kit that you can get for free from Apple to download it, and you can also program it here on those simulator screens without additional payment. So what you have to do here is, now I open a new project, file new project, to make such a Sprite Kit Game, so is it called, from scratch. So you have different options here, different ways of programming for iOS applications, and what you're using is this Sprite Kit Game. You just put in next and you put in a project or product name. I will call this project now Spheres, and I will just program it for iPad. You also can use iPhone or for both applications. So what is next? You can select where you are putting the project on your hard disk drive. And now you get into another selection screen where you are basically defining the device orientations and some other stuff. I just go into the device orientations. So further on, you have a different C code here already implemented in this program. This is done just as a basic start. And also, if you are now running this program, you can see also there's some code that has some functions included here. So I will just show you this code that you get when you are opening a new Sprite Kit game. So you have some hello world on the screen already, and if you push somewhere here at the screen, a little spaceship will come up in the screen, and this one will just rotate. So this is the code that you get when you open a Sprite Kit game. This is quite cool already, and this is also not done with so many lines of code, but it's not the thing that I want to have right now. So I'm just removing the sections that are relevant not relevant for me. I'm just making some copy here because that one I will use later on. So this is the one that is related to this coding, and also this stuff with the label where you just say hello world is something that I don't want to have in my program. So further on, I want to have a white screen here for the Sprite Kit, and I put in this also here right away. So in this program section, I put in just my copied file, paste. Didn't work anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, so now what's happening now is that you will get just the white screen, I guess so, and nothing on it. So this is the starting point for my program. So first thing I want to do, I will go into the storyboard, and in the storyboard I want to define some additional. So let's have a look at the storyboard first. What you see at the storyboard is a screen that is just the screen of the iPad, and in this screen you can put in, for instance, some buttons. You just place them into the view, and you can see that they are just coming up in here. I want to have 5 bottoms, and I put them in here right away. You can also put them on the screen like that one, but for that I think you have to have it a little bit bigger. So I just drag and drop them at the right positions. And put in another one here. And what I also want to have is I want to have them named differently. So I put, say, this one is the green bottom, this one is the red bottom, this one over there is the up, this one is the 0 bottom, and this one is the down button. So what is also interesting here at this section, I want to show you here. So this part of the storyboard is connected to a class. This class is called main view controller, and you can see this class also here in the project. So when I put something in this project here, I can connect it to the main storyboard as there's a reference through this class. And this is what I want to do. I want to put in here some code that I will later use for connection into the storyboard. So I need to define some functions that are called EBAction, and the first EBAction I will call red. And this will be an action that is just called when I push the button. So I need some other actions here also. This will be, as you guessed, the green action. And then I will need also an up, a down, and a 0. Action. So these are the actions that I will need here, and further on I will need to put them into the main file and define the code here. To define the code, you have to put this into this kind of brackets. This is just C standard programming, that any kind of code is put into such brackets. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, so what I need to do, I want to start now with the green bottom, and in this green bottom I want to place right away a node. This node will collect some, let's do this, Sprite Kit node. This is defined here, Sprite Kit, and let's call this Sprite equals, and the Sprite Kit will hold a file and will upload a file which has this green ball included here. So Sprite Kit node, so I define this as Sprite Kit node, and I want to have a file included here that is called green. So this one is done, and now what I have to take care of, I have to put into the program also a PNG file that is called green, and this is what I'm going to do right away. I just put them inside of my project. So I have the Sprite Kit included here. I need to position that Sprite Kit somewhere at the screen, so I just say plug in Sprite, and the Sprite has the position. This is equal to a point at the screen, a CG point, and I want to have it at, let's say, 500 and 700. This is somewhere at the right side, at the left side of the screen, at the upper part. And I have to put it into the scene also. So right now I've just made it, created it, and made a position. So there must be a scene, SK scene, where I just add the child inside. This is what I'm going to do here, and I put in this sprite that I've just defined included here. So now there is an error for that, which just means that I have not defined the scene yet. The scene is just right now in this code defined here, but not as a global variable. So what I need to do is I need to include it as a global variable into this controller, and this I have to do here in this part of the program. Where I just put in the scene. Okay, so I've put an SK scene called scene in the main view controller as a global variable. Here I'm defining it as with bounds and sizes, and I'm adding a child here at this position at the screen. So this is the EV action where you are just putting a child, this green bottom, this green ball on the screen. So next thing I'm going to do right away is I have to connect the code to the Sprite Kit, to the storyboard. So you can see here is you have to connect each of those bottoms with code, and this is what you're going to do here. And only if you have connected, if you have done this connection, the storyboard knows that there is a code that can be used when you are pushing this button. So I put it for the red and for the green button, and also right away for the down button. Okay, I think that's it. So now I'm going to run the program and see what's going to happen. Okay, you have a right screen, you have the buttons on the screen, and I've put in place some code for the green button. And okay, now there's at least one ball emerging on the screen. Initially these are more than one balls out, but they emerge one above the other and nothing else is happening, so you will just see one ball. But if you watch out closely here for the number of the nodes, the number of the node gets up as one after the other is just placed at exactly the same point. Anyway, so let's go on with the coding. So this was quite good for the start. So now I have to define some more properties of this sprite node here. So this ball. So first of all, I have to define that the sprite is a physical body, and this physical body has a certain size. I'm doing this here with this brackets, so it's a physics body, and it has the size and the body width, so you get different possibilities, and I want to have it as a radius, a circle of a radius, and now I have to define the size of the radius. So the sprite itself has already a size, as there's a size of this PNG file. I put in the size and the width of the screen, and the radius is just the half of this width. So further on, I want to tell the system that this physics body has a property that is called dynamic. This means that it can move on the screen, and I just put in a yes. And further on, there are some other properties that are useful here for this body. This is the linear damping. This means how fast the object gets, how damped the object gets on the screen. So how fast it's losing its velocity. The same thing is interesting for the. Now just put in physics body also for the angular damping. It's the same thing. How fast does the body lose angular velocity? I put in, this is always a number between 0 and 1, what you have to put in here. And I'm just putting a lower value here, so there's not too much damping, but also some visible effect here. You can also play with that and put in any other numbers, and you will see quite interesting effects. So the next thing also interesting for body is if there is a collision, then the question is how much of its energy will the body lose during this collision. If this put in is a 1, there will be no loss of energy. I'm putting in some kind of loss here also. Also important is that this body has a property that is whether he's affected by gravity or not, and I'm just putting in yes, it's affected by gravity. Yes. And every physics body has a mass also, and I have to put in this one, and I just put simple mass 1 inside here. And what I want to have also is that the body will have a certain velocity while it emerges on the screen. Physics body velocity equals, and now this velocity is a vector, so it has an x and an y coordinate, and I put in minus 200 and no velocity at the beginning because it will be affected by gravity anyway. So this was quite a few lines, but if you think about it, each body that you have in reality will have the same properties. So each body will have a linear damping, angular damping, a restitution. It will be affected by gravity. It has a mass, and it has a certain velocity at the beginning. And you need to define here also how big the body is to get real collisions and real reality-like movements. So let's start the program again and see what happens. So I put in the code for green, and what you can see is that there are some good movements, but you can also see that the body, the ball is just moving outside of the screen. So there's some more code you have to implement here to avoid that one. The scene itself can be defined also as a physics body. So you put in scene.physicsBody, and here you say also, as in this section here, that the physics body has a certain size. So I put in this one here. But now I want to put in another way to define it. I want to have body with edge from loop rect, with edge loop from rect, this one. So it has a rectangular shape, and the shape of this body would be a rectangle, but now you can just put in the frame of the scene itself as the size of the body. So now if I just start the program, it should be much better already. As you can see, the program itself now sees and understands that there is a shape, that there is a body size of the scene itself, and the balls cannot move outside of this rectangular shape. So this is for the green bottom. The red bottom has no function yet, so next thing that we will do is we just implement some functions at the green ball also. So most of the things are already done. I just can copy this code inside here. And what would happen now is that just a new green sphere would emerge at the screen. But if I put in the other file, the red file here, then it will just include the red PNG file. So not to make it to make some distinction out of that, I will put it in here with another speed, and I will put it at another place of the screen. So this is what I've done here. So just try it. I have the green bottoms, the green balls, and the red ones. Very nice. They are just moving on the screen. So great. The next thing I need to do is I want to implement some gravity. So gravity is also a property within this physics world, and this is an overall property of the scene. So I put in physics world right now, and I want to define the gravity of this physics world. And as you might know from physics, gravity is also a vector. It has always a certain direction, and now you can put in some coordinates for this vector, meaning this is just upside gravity, as you can guess. The downside gravity is just negative, pointing into the other direction. And into this action 0 paste, I'm telling the computer that there is 0 gravity once it pushes this button. So I think now we are done. I have defined a red ball in the screen, have put in some properties for this ball, same thing for the green ball, and I did put in some upside and downside gravity, where I just did change the gravity property of this physics world. So now we see what is going to happen when I push the screens once again. The green buttons, once again, you have the green balls coming in here, then the red ones. And now we have upside, downside gravity, and also zero gravity. So now I'm at the end of this little video. What you can see here is a few lines of code. You can have quite interesting effects, like in real physics world. The balls are right now moving. You can even compare this to a atom system where atoms are moving in and are colliding in some kind of gas mode in your physics section here. So thank you for watching. I hope I could show you something how this programming is done. Bye.